Hi everybody, welcome back to Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle. We'll get this camera set up here correctly. And we are live. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to cover how to get out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. So I'm going to start the poll, and the poll will run during the live, and then we'll get going. And I will also be able to see the chat in the comments during this live because I have the studio running. So what we're going to cover is the 5 steps to getting out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. And those are: 1, how do people get into the paycheck to paycheck trap? 2, income being higher than expenses. That's important to get out of the paycheck to paycheck trap. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about how to get out of it. It's very valid for the reasons people are in the paycheck to paycheck cycle. But we are going to go into the solution in this live. Number 3 is building in a mini emergency fund. It doesn't have to be a fully funded emergency fund, but hi Aslan, good morning. Well, we're going to talk about that. That's step 3. Step 4 is having a simple budget. And I'll talk more about that when we get to step 4 because there are a lot of options for that. And number 5 that we're going to cover today is boosting your income. And we all know about side hustles, so we're going to get into that in step 5. So the first of all, get my coffee going. First of all, I have Nightbot running on this. So if you type fire in the chat, you will, hi Jeffrey, you will be able to put your channel name out in the chat. And so we're also testing Nightbot on a few other things, which will come up every 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm not going to mention typing fire anymore because Nightbot will remind everybody to type fire to put it in their channel name. So why is this topic important? Because there are a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck. And the reasons that people are living paycheck to paycheck are varied. And this goes back to the first part of my last live, which was step 1 was control your cash flow on building wealth. So if you're going to build wealth, 1, we need to get you out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. But 2, you have to control your cash flow. And these 5 steps are controlling your cash flow. They're in more detail of step 1 from the last live. And so some of the things that happen when you're living paycheck to paycheck is that you have financial stress. When you have just enough money coming in as is going out, and sometimes, like me in the past, I had to borrow from a credit card to make it till payday. Let's just say to put gas in my car. I had to do those things on a credit card till payday. That is paycheck to paycheck. And you have stress when that happens. You have difficulty building wealth. If all you're doing is treading water, paycheck to paycheck, then it's hard to get ahead and start saving and investing, which is all part of building wealth. There is an increased reliance on debt. People living paycheck to paycheck may make desperate financial decisions, such as taking out a payday loan at a super high interest rate. We have a place here in our town that's right across the street from Walmart, and it's a car title loan place where they will take the title of your car and give you a loan against the title of your car. I don't know how much the interest rate on that is, but many, many years ago when I was in the military, they had those outside the Army base. They were high. The interest rates were high. So you don't want to make desperate decisions which will prevent you from being able to build wealth and save for your retirement. And that's what this channel is all about. This is Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle, and we talk all about retirement, building wealth, and retiring early. Those are my themes. So You have limited choices. When you are paycheck to paycheck, you can't decide, well, I think I'll go on vacation. You can't because you just don't have the money. And if you do go on vacation, you put yourself further and further in debt, which means you may spend 2 or 3 months paying off that vacation, or 6 months. Let's take Christmas, for example. Every year, people buy a ton of Christmas gifts, and it takes them until April to pay off their credit cards for the gifts that they bought other people, family members and friends, and they think that this is a good strategy. A better strategy is to have a Christmas account and save that money up throughout the year so that you're not paying interest on a credit card for 3 months after Christmas every year. So we just saw the Nightbot come up, so that is now working. So I have the viewer poll out there. Please go and do the viewer poll, which is, are you living paycheck to paycheck right now? And right now I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, but the reason that I'm doing this live is, one, this is my day that I won a wheel of support from the Source Network. And I have his link down in the description. And so I'm hoping that I get more subscribers and more people viewing my live today, because Wednesday was my day that I won on the wheel. And then I support whoever won Tuesday and Monday and Thursday. So we are all supporting each other. So go to the Source Network on Sundays at 3 p.m. Central Time, because I'm in Central. So 3 p.m. Central Time, and get on the Wheel of Support spin. I'll be there every Sunday. So one of the things I want to make sure that I mention is that you do not have to be rich to take control of your money. I was not wealthy, and I'm still not wealthy today, but I am financially free. And so therefore, I can just go out in my yard, I can enjoy my yard, and I don't have to worry about putting something on a credit card until next payday. And I wanted to mention this because some people in retirement are not on a paycheck. And so I was asked the question, well, I'm not on a paycheck. How does this information apply to me? And if you're on a pension, like I'm on a pension, or if you are on a fixed income, like Social Security, that is your once a month paycheck. My pension is my once a month paycheck. And so I need to learn to live within that once a month paycheck. And I talk on my channel about living on that $900 that I have left over in my pension after my household bills are paid. I need to live on less than what I make in order to continue to build wealth. So let's look at some statistics, of people who are in the paycheck to paycheck cycle. So, and I'll mention that I lived from when I was 15 years old until in my 40s in the paycheck to paycheck cycle. So I've only been out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle for about the last 20 years that I have been really getting control of my finances. And it started little by slow, as you know, if you know my story. And so an analysis from Bank of America in 2024 showed at least 90% of income was on necessities. If you are spending most of your income on just the things you need every month, and if you have a family with children, you could be a single mother, all of these things lead to spending 90% of your money just on your needs. That only leaves 10% for you to spend on vacations or anything that you want, to go out to the club. That's not counting saving and investing. And so a lot of people are struggling with high rent, high mortgage costs, plus taking care of their family. And we all know that with inflation over the last couple of years, food costs have gone up. All of these things lead to living paycheck to paycheck. And so in another article that I'm going to put a link to in the description, is it says 57% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck in 2025. And that's a Market Watch article. And that is well over half of Americans. So this is a very relevant topic. And especially on my channel, which deals with personal finance, it's very relevant to tell people, let's get you out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. And well, let's look at the demographics. The younger generation will say 72% of Gen Z and 65% of millennials report that they're living paycheck to paycheck. So this is not just baby boomers like me, it's everybody in America. And let's talk about gender, which is women are more likely than men to say that they live paycheck to paycheck. 61% of women and 54% of men say that they're living paycheck to paycheck. So again, I mentioned single moms, but there are single dads out there. I don't ever want to say that there are only one gender of single parents. There are couples with multiple children. You take my wife and I who have a fur baby. So there are couples with pets, and maybe their pets have high vet bills. There are a lot of people who do some great work rescuing animals. And so, yes, they have high expenses rescuing animals that other people have abandoned. And it's sad that other people have abandoned these animals. So the reason that people are living paycheck to paycheck varies, and that's what I wanted to share. My community, I call you all owners, and I'm coming in with this now because I want to make sure I don't forget to mention this. I call my community of subscribers owners because we own our lives. We make the decisions about our future. And getting out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle is a decision that you can make, and it starts little by slow. As you know, on my channel, I move slowly, that's why I'm the turtle, and I get there eventually. So a study back in December of 2023 estimated that 60% of US consumers were living paycheck to paycheck. So I've talked about 2023, and now I'm talking about 2025. So this has been going on for a long time. This didn't just happen, that people are living paycheck to paycheck. So if you've been living paycheck to paycheck for a long time, that's okay. Today, we're here to talk about how to get out of it. Now, let's talk about some of the reasons that people live paycheck to paycheck. And I've covered this a little bit already, but we've talked about the rising cost of inflation, debt on credit cards. Credit card debt is keeping people living paycheck to paycheck. The lack of savings. If you don't have savings and you have an emergency, you're going to put that emergency on your credit card. Or, my example is, back when I first started rental properties, I had tenants come to me and say, my transmission just broke in my car. I can't pay you the rent this month because I need to get my transmission fixed so that I can get to work to make the money to pay you the rent. I was stuck. They were stuck, I was stuck. Because I now had to come out with that mortgage payment because they didn't have a savings. And they were clearly paycheck to paycheck. Did I ever get my rent from the transmission people? No. So there you go. That's one of my old stories about being a landlord, is sometimes when people fall behind, they'll never catch up. Stagnant wages. When I was demoted with the federal government, for the next 10 years, I received a 1% pay raise. That's it. Nothing else, wasn't cost of living, nothing else. That will keep you paycheck to paycheck. And when you work for somebody else and they tell you, we're only going to give you a 2% raise this year, we're only going to give you a 3% raise. We're not even talking a bonus, but we're just talking a 2 or 3% pay raise does not keep up with inflation. And so lifestyle creep, right? I would get a promotion and I would buy a brand new car, which all of my promotion money went to make an extra amount on the car payment. That's just what I was thinking at the time. Those kinds of decisions keep you living paycheck to paycheck. So let's also talk about mindset. If you have the mindset that you'll never get out of this paycheck to paycheck routine, then that's the problem. You need to think, I am an owner. I own my life. I make decisions about my future. And that's what I want you to do starting right now. I want you to take ownership of your finances and take ownership of your future. So subscribe and like if you like this channel or like my content, because every Friday I go live at 10:15. This is my Finance Friday video on a Wednesday, but I'm also going to go live on Friday. And so normally every Friday, 10:15 Central Standard Time, I will go live every single Friday. I'm doing this extra live today because of the support wheel, and I'm hoping to get more support today and more people to see my channel. So let's talk about number 2, which is income being greater than expenses. The first thing that you need to do to get out of the paycheck to paycheck routine is to look at a quick budget audit, just very high level. Generally, how much more do you have coming in than what you spend? And then you need to start making decisions. And one decision, I heard this from a friend of mine. He said, it didn't matter how the mule got in the ditch, get the mule out of the ditch. So we could sit here and say, well, I've got this reason, I've got that reason. Doesn't matter. Let's turn it around and say, let's get the mule out of the ditch. And so you do that with your quick budget audit. What's coming in, what's going out. When I help people here in my community, one of the first things that I suggest is that we look at what's coming in and what's going out. And I recommend a free Excel spreadsheet on Google Sheets. And it's free. You can monitor your annual expenses and your annual income. That's all it does. It's simple and it's free. And so I recommend that to people in my community when I'm trying to help them, because I'm not trying to cost you money in order for you to save money. See, that's not how this works. We go free. And so you have to look at your needs versus your wants and take real accountability for these are specific needs. I mentioned earlier that a lot of people have 90% needs. 90% of their money is going to needs. So we need to take that 10% and make decisions about that 10% and what we're going to do. And one of the things that I talked about in the last live was trying to get down to 85% of your expenses. So you want to get your needs down to at least 85% if you can. But it starts at knowing where you are and then making strategic decisions about what's your priority. You want to look at hidden money leaks. This is one way to find out, where is all your money going? Is it going to coffees? You know, people talk about the latte effect. When you are out getting that morning coffee on your way to work, and yes, it tastes better than the coffee that you make at home, although I love my coffee that I make at home. That cup of coffee could cost you up to $2,000 a year. And think about that. What would you do if you could save and invest that $2,000 a year? So another thing is rental car insurance. I went and rented a car in California, and they bamboozled me into buying car insurance, even though my credit card and my regular car insurance would have covered that car. But the guy was fast talking, it was late at night, and I just bought the insurance because I wanted to get to my hotel room. Waste of money. Subscriptions. I don't have subscriptions, and I'm not telling you not to have subscriptions, but what I'm saying is that look at your subscriptions and see if you can cut some of the subscriptions. A lot of people have music subscriptions or video channel subscriptions. See what you can cut to get you down to that 85%, or at least down to where you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Gambling. I don't gamble, but some people do. Gambling losses are things, and I'm not saying don't buy lottery tickets, but some people buy lottery tickets, and maybe they need to stop buying the lottery tickets until they build up a savings, and we'll talk about a mini emergency fund here coming up shortly. But until you build these things up, maybe you need to cut out some of these joys that you have in your life, just some of them, not all of them. And so I'm going to put this in here because this is a personal thing to me. Buying gear for professional sports teams. I don't buy baseball jerseys for the local baseball team, and I don't buy a hat for the local or the professional football team that's in my area. I just don't do that. But that was a decision that I made many, many years ago. A lot of people do. And a lot of people watch Sunday sports or Saturday baseball, and they're really into their sports teams. But maybe you need to cut back just a little bit until you get a hold of your finances. So let's move on into number 3, which is build a mini emergency fund. When Dave Ramsey talks about a $1,000 emergency fund, most people say, well, that was 20 years ago. You need a lot more than $1,000 now. Well, let's talk to the people who can't even save $10. Save the $10. Have $10 of an emergency fund. Then put another $5 in next payday. We are talking to people who are just starting out. We're not talking to people that have a ton of money and can put $5,000 in an emergency fund. What I'm saying is have a mini emergency fund and build on it. If you could have $500, most Americans do not have $400 in case of an emergency. Most Americans. If you could have $500 sitting somewhere in case your transmission goes out, in case of an emergency, you will do so much better. And all you do is add to that a little bit at a time, which is what I've done. I add to my investments each payday, but I add a little bit, whatever is left over. So that's where you start. And how to save it fast, right? We're going to talk about this. How do you save an emergency fund really quickly? Well, there are YouTube channels that are budgeting and saving channels. And so I'm going to give them a shout out now because this is a way to save money fast. You do a savings challenge. And so Trina's Hippies, Puppies, and Kittens Budget, she does savings challenges. You can watch her channel. Keisha's Money Motivation, she does cash stuffing. You can watch her channel. Tess Lynn, who has been a great supporter of my channel, and I recommend her as well, you can look at her channel. And all of these cash stuffing channels and many, many others, there are so many out there that do different savings challenges. My friend T, Life with T 76, she was doing a savings challenge collaboration with 5 other people. And so all 5 of them were helping each other to save. And they were helping each other to build subscribers. So that's what you can do. I have, of course, freebies in the description below, a worksheet where it will help you to get out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. So go get that free download, and that way you can document how you're moving towards getting out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. So we'll go on to number 4, which is to build a simple budget. Now, one of the different types of budgets is the 50-30-20 budget. There are many different types, and you can look up the different types, but I'm only going to talk about this one type, which is 50% of your money should go for your needs. And this is where you're setting out your budget that would be ideal. Not what your budget is today, but your ideal future budget, because you have to have a vision for what your life is going to be like. And so your vision could be 50% of your money goes to needs. 30% of your money goes to what you want to do, fun things, right? Buying new shoes, whatever that is, going to the movies. Those are the fun things. that you want to be able to do in life, because we're here to enjoy life. Then you take 20%, and that's why it's called 50, 30, 20. You take 20% and put it into savings and investments. Now, this is even better than the 15% that I talk about in getting control of your finances. I talk about having up to a 25% savings rate. I personally am at about 45% savings rate right now. And it's going down a little bit, but it started this year out at a 70% savings rate. That means I am living well below the money that I bring in. And that is how you build wealth. You live below your means. You could live a little bit below your means. You could live a lot below your means. I happen to be a minimalist, so I don't need a lot of items. And so therefore, I have a lot of expendable income that I can invest. So that's the 50, 30, 20 rule explained. Then you could get apps that will help you monitor your money. I talked about the Google Sheet that I recommend to people, which is free. And all it has is a page for income and then a page for expenses. And on the third tab of the Google Sheet, it then compares your income to expenses to see if you're bringing in more than what you're spending. So all you have to do is put your items on there, and it will tell you whether or not you're spending more than what you bring in. And you just try to get those flipped so that you're spending less than what you bring in. However you can do that. Some of the apps, well, there's the envelope method, which some of these cash stuffers on YouTube use. Dave Ramsey has the Every Dollar app, right? And now there's a free version and then there's a paid version. If I was going to do the Every Dollar app, of course, I'm going to do free because you know me. We go free. That's just how we roll. Now, having said that, I built my own spreadsheet to manage my finances, and I built it many, many years ago, and I just kept adding to it and modifying it over the years, and it became so complex that I understood it, but no other person on earth that looked at it would understand it. And so I finally broke down and spent money on an already built spreadsheet at the beginning of 2025. It took me a lot of years to spend, and I believe the spreadsheet was $15, maybe $20. Do you know how hard it was for me to say I'm going to give somebody else $15 or $20 for a spreadsheet? Because I said I could build a spreadsheet. The problem was this spreadsheet was already done, and it was very nice and very colorful and all this stuff. Mine was just a mess, but I understood it. And so you can build your own spreadsheet, you can get the free Google Sheet, or you can get some of these apps. Intuit has an app. There are so many apps out there. Some have subscription fees. And of course, I don't do subscriptions, so I'm not going to buy a subscription fee. But my point is, if that works for you, do what works for you is the key to being successful. If I say, oh, save 30% of your income, that may not work for you. Then don't do that. If 5% of your income works for you to save for your future, do 5%. It's whatever you will stick with. That's what makes the difference in building wealth. Stay with the routine that will work for you. And I mentioned my free worksheets there. So let's talk about number 5, because we're at about the half-hour point. And so I still want to leave room for questions in the last 5 to 10 minutes in case people have questions. And I can see the chat over here. So even though I'm horizontal, I can see the chat over here in studio. So let's talk about number 5, which is boost your income. There are side hustles that you can do to boost your income. There are 2 ways to change this paycheck to paycheck cycle. You can cut your expenses, or you can boost your income. You know, life doesn't get any more simple than that. Or you could do a combination of the 2. So I guess there's 3. Okay, so we'll say there's 3 options. In this, we've already talked about cutting expenses. Now let's talk about boosting your income. And if you're on this, then you know, if you're on this live, you know that YouTube is a way that a lot of people boost their income. Some people double boost their income, which I love, which is that they are not only doing DoorDash and driving, but they're also doing YouTube while they're doing DoorDash. So they've got two side incomes mixed together that are doubling the amount of money that they could possibly make. And so with YouTube, you know that there has been this new rule that I think went into effect yesterday about not having 100% AI channels and what kind of AI you can use to boost your channel. So with that, you want to learn on YouTube how to do it ethically, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so I saw a YouTube video the other day by this channel that I watch. His name is The World According to Briggs. And I'm going to have a link to his video down in my description. But he talks about the fastest way to monetize YouTube without using AI slop. That's the title of his. And when I watched it, he talked about ways to get monetized very quickly that are things that I wouldn't do. But if you have a very thick skin and you can take criticism, you can do these controversial things to get your YouTube channel monetized. And if you're trying to increase your income, you want to get your YouTube channel monetized as quickly as possible. Also, my friend Kendi K, she has a series named Shop Talk, which is a content creator makerspace where she talks about how to grow your channel, how to do things by adding next level tools and using AI in the proper way. All of these things will help you grow your channel. And so watch Kendi K in her Shop Talk series. And my point is that if you're doing YouTube, that's what I wanted to focus on as a side hustle today. Way back in the day, I was a security guard, and that was my side hustle. But that was only exchanging, I guess, time for money. And so when you exchange time for money, then that's all you get. I got $12 an hour or whatever I got on there. And hopefully you're not hearing sounds in the background. I have an AC unit being installed in my home today. And so there's just a little bit of sounds in the background there. So the other thing you can do is you can ask for a raise at work. That didn't work for me because I was not in a position to ask for a raise at my job. I just wasn't. And so we're going to leave it at that. It was a toxic work environment. Let it go, Daryl. So high impact skill stacking, right? What does that mean? That means that if you have a skill, stack on top of it. I was an IT person. And what I did was I went out and started my own little company as an IT networking person on the side. That is skill stacking. If you have a skill, go out on your own and charge for that skill. One young lady on YouTube the other day said that she was good at public speaking. So she went out and charged for her public speaking. And so if you do public speaking and presentations on your job, you can go out and do presentations for other companies on your own time. So what do I say? From 9 to 5, you make a living. From 5 to 9, you live your life and design your life the way you want it to be. That's how you get out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. Yes, and so Heartily Happy says skill stacking. I've heard this before. Yes, skill stacking is something anyone can do. It's sort of like when I was talking about doing YouTube and another side hustle. If you record your second side hustle with YouTube, well, now you're getting money from the side hustle and from your YouTube views. Stack those incomes. So, and don't forget to subscribe and like. I'll say that again. If you like my content of anything related to personal finance. And keep in mind, personal finance is personal. There is nothing that works for 5 different people the exact same way. You have to do whatever works for you in your personal finances. So what we've covered here is the paycheck to paycheck trap, we have covered making your income more than your expenses and not having them break even because that's still paycheck to paycheck. We've talked about building a mini emergency fund. It's not your forever emergency fund, which will be bigger later. This is your emergency fund just to get you started and just to keep the mule out of the ditch. Build a simple budget. Now, budgeting can be hard for some people. Excuse me? Budgeting can be hard for some people. It takes practice. It took me many years to get a budget and stay on the budget. I've talked about this before that I could make it until October and then my budget would fall apart. I'd start again in January and make it until November and then my budget would fall apart. And eventually I could make it from January to December or January to January. And now, of course, my budget goes every single year and I've improved on it and improved on it, which is why I have such a high savings rate. In 2026, I am still going to go back to trying to have a 70% savings rate. So we are now at 36 minutes. I will check the chat just to see if there's any questions. Oh, I see a question. No, what it says is if you have a question, and this is one of the prompts that I've put in Nightbot, is that if you have a question, type the word question in all capital letters so that I can see it. And the reason that I mentioned Nightbot a few times here is that I made a video on how to install Nightbot so that you can use it on your lives. It's very simple how to. Go watch that video. So Shadow Scout Swede is here and he said that he loves this content. Thank you, Shadow Scout Swede. He is one of my supporters and I support his channel. And this is what we're doing is we're building a community on YouTube. And my community is all about retire early, get control of your personal finances, and build wealth. And when you come to Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle, that's what you're going to hear mostly about. You know, I made these how-to videos, a few of them, on how to do a horizontal live and how to schedule it. Because I tried a horizontal live a few weeks ago and I messed it up. So I said, I need to figure this out. I need to document it. I need to make a video about it so that it works for people every single time. And for the last 2 lives, my horizontal live has worked. And I've been able to schedule it in advance and put all of the information in before the live ever starts. And that means making a thumbnail, doing the description, having a community post to tell people the live is coming. All of these things I did because I documented it and I've made videos. So go out and watch my videos on how to do a horizontal live if that's what you want to do. So Heartily Happy has a question. Is it good to have a savings account as well as checking? And how can you get the most interest return on a savings? This is a great question because nowadays they have a high yield savings account. And so that is where you want your money. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do financially because I am not a financial advisor, but I do not go with the big banks. That's what I don't do. I go out and get an online high yield savings account. They were at 5% before interest rates came down over the past year or so. Now they're down at about 4%. That is so much better than getting 0.01%. 4% versus 0.01% at a big bank. So you make your own decisions and your own choice. As far as checking accounts go, I have multiple different accounts. I have one where all of my bills go into. I have another account where it's just for buying stuff on Amazon. I have another account where it's for buying stuff from Sam's Club. So I have multiple separate different accounts because I don't want a pile of money in any individual account. Also, I believe in having most of my money invested. So I don't have a huge checking account that has like thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. No, most of my money stays invested. It's either in a high yield savings account or it's invested in real estate or a very little bit in the stock market. I'm very little. in the stock market. And so Heartily Happy is asking more about high yield savings accounts. And we should have talked about this probably more in the building a mini emergency fund section. Your high yield savings account, which let's see, Ally Bank has one online. Lenders Club is another online one. What you want to be careful of is you want to read the fine print, because a high yield savings account will say, well, we're offering 5.2%, but the fine print says only if you have $10,000 in your account. Or the, the high yield savings account high interest rate is only for 3 months or 6 months. So what you're doing is you're going to be trying to move your money every 3 to 6 months. You don't want to be doing that. You want to read the fine print and see that your money is going to get, let's just say 4%, and leave it there for the few years. You don't want to be doing that. Also, I have what I call my emergency fund that is cash, that is between my checking account and my high yield savings account. So let's just say I've got $5,000 in the high yield savings account. I have $2,000 liquid cash in case I need it tomorrow. If I don't need it tomorrow, I could pull it from the $5,000 from the high yield savings account. So there are various different ways that you can set up your money, right? And we talk about buckets. You have your short-term bucket, your medium-term bucket, and your long-term bucket. And your short-term bucket, which is my $2,000, just in case I need money tomorrow. It's happened once or twice that I need money tomorrow, but it's not very often. So I keep very small amount of money there. And so that's what I'm trying to say. You can keep a lot of money there. A lot of people have 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 in their cash bucket. It's up to the individual, because personal finance is personal. I am glad that I have my coffee here, because I am getting parched. And so Kendi K says, high yields are great with a balance of 10K, but if you have less, check your credit unions for better interest rates. And that's true. There are some high yield savings accounts that will take less than 10K, but there are other ones that won't give you the highest interest rate unless you have 10K, 50K. Credit unions are very good. I always prefer credit unions over big banks. So I'll give you my tiers, and this is just personal, my own personal preferences. Credit unions first, community banks second. That's your local branch bank that's just local to your town. And big banks third. Okay, big banks are always at the end of my go-to list. But I really believe in credit unions because you are part owner. So therefore, everything you get from the credit union is because you're part owner of the credit union. Wherever you are, credit unions make, I guess, enrollment rules for who can enroll in that credit union. And they're very broad. They're very, very broad. When I was in DC, we had credit unions for all federal employees. Well, there are 8 million federal employees. So, yeah, if you were in the military, or your grandfather was in the military, or your aunt and uncle were in the military, credit unions say if you know somebody in the military, you can get into the credit union. So there is no restriction. There's very little money needed to open a credit union account. So again, we'll just go over real quick what we've covered here, which is why people are in the paycheck to paycheck trap. Getting your income to be more than your expenses is the first key to starting to get out of the paycheck to paycheck trap. Building a mini emergency fund, which we've just been talking about, high yield savings accounts and that. Regina is here from Simply Fundamentals. She has a channel about building wealth and retirement as well. So she and I are in the same niche. And I love her channel. Regina, thank you for being here. Build a simple budget. And Regina will probably talk about all these things on her channel as well. But she's sort of well past, these items. She's financially free as well. But build a simple budget. It only takes a very simple budget. You can become more complex later, like I did. I became a lot more complex as the years went on. As I got more and more rental properties, my spreadsheet became more and more complex. So boost your income. As you know, I teach at 3 colleges on top of my pension, on top of my rental properties. So I have multiple streams of income. And that's another thing that I talk about on my channel is I believe that everyone should always have multiple streams of income. And Regina has multiple streams of income, which is why she's financially free. So if you don't have multiple streams of income, start a YouTube channel. It's so simple and free. I'm using my iPhone. I have not spent any money. I did buy this ring light that's behind my iPhone because I lost my wife's tripod that she gave me. And so I had to buy another tripod, which is this ring light. And so I'm using this now. But my point is, I didn't buy anything. I didn't buy a tripod. I didn't buy a ring light. My wife had these things and I just borrowed them and started a YouTube channel on my iPhone. And so you'll see my YouTube channel is very simple. It's not flashy. I'm in retirement, so I'm not wanting to spend 10 hours a day editing YouTube videos. That's just not what I'm planning to do. So again, I'll talk about my Finance Fridays, which is on Fridays at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time, or Central, 10:15 Central Standard Time, every single Friday. This Wednesday's live is just a one-off. I will not be doing any more lives on Wednesdays, only on Fridays. I do plan to try to release a video on a Wednesday so that I have one video in long form and one live on Fridays. That's more than what I was doing a year ago. A year ago, it was one video on a Friday and my channel wasn't growing. Well, in the last couple of months, I've learned a lot about how to grow my channel. So I'm going to do a live on Fridays and hopefully drop a video. That's my goal. We should all have goals on Wednesdays. So that's twice a week. Now you all know I put out a bunch of community posts and I put out a bunch of shorts with my cute dog IO. And so you guys get to see me quite a bit on YouTube. And you need all 4 of these things to grow your YouTube channel and get that side hustle working. So that goes with boost your income. So I'm looking in here to see, and Simply Fundamental is on her lunch break, but she's going to be retiring in the near future, which I love. My channel is all about early retirement and financial freedom. If you want to have a life that you design, join my channel, Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle. We will talk about how to get you out of the life that you don't want and move you towards the life that you do want. Because retirement is not about leaving and escaping something. Retirement is about living your dreams and going towards the future that you want to design. That is what my channel is all about. And if that's what you want, then join my channel, Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle. So please like and subscribe. I always forget to say that. And I want to talk about some of the things that's going to happen on Friday. We talked about this new rule regarding AI. And so on Friday, which I'm going to put out a community post later today, but you guys are getting the scoop early. On Friday, I'm going to talk about merging AI with finance, because this is the future of personal finance. Using AI with YouTube is the future of YouTube. Not 100% AI, but using AI smartly with YouTube. I saw a video earlier today from a friend of mine, and this friend had some videos from other creators as part of her video, but she added substantial content from herself to the videos of other creators. I wouldn't do that, but whoever knows how to do that, they can do that. One, I don't know the editing for adding videos to, and I'm just not that fancy. But my point is that I want all of my content to just be me and my research. And that's what I do is I bring you research on personal finance to my videos and to my lives. I don't just bring you my opinion, but I do bring you my experience in life. I'm in my 60s, so I now have a lot of experience in life. And I've made a lot of financial mistakes, so now I can tell you, don't do that. So we have 10 minutes left, and I'm going to check and see. I'm going to scroll back through the comments for a second just to see if I've missed any questions. Just going back for a second. And I don't think that I've missed any questions, but I really want to thank you all for your engagement in here. So we have, we have 12 people in here, which is amazing for me, because I will tell you, I'm a small YouTube creator who is trying to grow his channel. Yes, I'm retired. Yes, I'm financially free. One of the things that I haven't mentioned so far, and I talk about boosting your income and I talk about all of these things, is that my channel, my YouTube channel, is not to boost my income. It's not to make another stream of income. I have enough streams of income, and as I mentioned, my goal is to save 70% of my money. So it's not about the money for the reason that I'm on YouTube. Although, if you're on YouTube to make extra money, I'm here to support you. I'm on YouTube because I decided when I started a YouTube channel, which was something for me to do in retirement to keep me busy, I decided that I want all of the proceeds from my YouTube channel to go to the homeless. Because as you all know, homeless was what I was, and I'm not there, but I never want to forget where I came from. And I never will, And so one of the things about my financial freedom is to make sure I never go back to being homeless. So all the proceeds from my YouTube channel, when I get monetized, which I'm working on, I'm learning and growing my channel to get monetized, will go to the homeless. Because I don't need your money. There are a lot of people on YouTube, they have the super chat, or they've got merch, or they've got this, they've got that. All of that stuff is fabulous for them, and they need the money. I don't need the money. And so I'm not here to get your money, but I am here to get you to financial freedom and to get you to early retirement, because I believe that everybody should or could, if they wish, to retire early. There's a book called Quit Like a Millionaire, where this couple, they were in their 30s, they saved up $1 million by the time they were 30, and they quit, they retired. And all they do is travel the world. Now, their money is making more money, so it's not like that $1 million is all they're ever going to have, and it's just going to dwindle down to zero. No, they are living on less than that $1 million makes, so their money is growing. And they never have to work again, unless they wish to. They also have royalties from the book, because I mentioned they wrote a book. They are on interviews all over YouTube. Look up Quit Like a Millionaire. And I love that because they talk about all the different ways that you could pay zero taxes in retirement, how you can retire early, all of those things I love. And my goal is pay 0% in taxes. But first thing I had to do was get out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. And so that's what I'm hoping that you will do today is start. If you're in that paycheck to paycheck routine, start today to get yourself out of that paycheck to paycheck routine. Simply Fundamental, of course, Regina knows the book. She said it's a great book. I love that book. It just popped into my head. And I just wanted to mention that because part of building wealth is knowledge. You have to have the knowledge. The first knowledge is what we've talked about here, which is know how much you have coming in and know how much you have going out. know yourself first. We can learn all of the tax strategies. We can learn about how to pull money in retirement from different buckets so that you pay 0% in taxes in retirement. We can learn all the different ways that you can write off your rental properties. All of these things were taught to me by someone else. You know, long before I bought real estate, my friends told me, they said, Daryl, do two things. There are two things that no one can ever take away from you: your education and dirt. So they said, get an education and buy dirt. So I went out and I got a PhD and I buy dirt. It's that simple. See, but somebody had to tell me that. And it took me a lot of years to get there, but I had to start somewhere. And where did I start? One class at a time. Where do you start with your getting out of your paycheck to paycheck routine? One paycheck at a time is how you start to get out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. So I'm checking the comments. We only have a few minutes left. Do we have any more comments? Thank you, Kenny K, for putting in the Source Network, because he is really fabulous in trying to help other YouTube creators, one, get monetized, but two, to help their channel to grow. And you want your channel to grow organically and have a community within your channel. And that's what I'm trying to do. It may take me a long time, but I'm the turtle. I take life slow, but I get there eventually. You know, I'm not some rocket, you know, flying up to the moon, but I'll get there. You know, I didn't build financial freedom overnight, right? They say, oh, I'm an overnight success after 20 years. You know, yes, it takes a while, but it has to start somewhere. And some people are faster than others in getting out of the paycheck to paycheck routine. Some people are faster than others in building their YouTube channel. I'm never going to compare my channel to someone else's because I have a life that I love. I'm on vacation every single day. Retirement is fabulous. You should try it if you haven't done it. Retire as early as possible. That's me. That's just me. And that's what I believe. And so some people love their job. Some people need the health insurance from their job. I retired with a government pension and lifetime health insurance. So I took that into account when I was getting that 1% raise for 10 years. I took all of that into account and I weighed it back and forth and said, I'll take the pension and the lifetime health coverage. So everybody has to make their own personal decisions. And so personal finance is personal. And so we are at 68 minutes. And so I'm about to close the live stream, but Heartily Happy says, I am ready to retire. I'm 57, but I want to be able to do so and feel financially capable. Absolutely. Heartily Happy, email me. I have an email address in my channel description. If you email me, I work with people to help them get on their budget. I am not a certified financial planner. I'm not going to tell you what to invest in, but I will help you to manage your own money and make your own decisions. Absolutely. I do it here in my community every once a month on a Saturday, and we're starting back up in April. But once a month on a Saturday, I get the local library and I have people from my community come there to learn how to budget and to learn how to become financially free. I don't make decisions for anyone. Everyone makes their own personal decisions because personal finance is personal. And so, okay, thank you. Please email me and anyone else. Regina mentioned that consistency is the key. And I'm gonna throw that out there as my last parting comment. Consistency in investing is the key. Consistency in saving is the key. And consistency in YouTube posting is the key. So I will post a live every Friday at 10:15 Central Standard Time, no matter what, so that I am consistent to my YouTube community. Thank you all for coming, and we are at the hour mark. My lives will be 1 hour, and that's it. They will start on time, they will end on time. Thank you all. I will see you all Friday, or if you can make it. If not, please watch my Friday replay about AI and finance and how they merge. Bye for now.